All right, so if you're a property manager, you're probably still doing way too much manual work inside of your software, clicking through tenant records, checking lease dates, pulling reports, copying data, updating spreadsheets, and then trying to build automations around platforms that weren't really designed for modern AI workflows. In this video, I'm going to show you why that's starting to change. I'll show you how to connect AI to a real property management platform using what's called a CLI, an MCP server, and the Buildium API. This is what it looks like when AI can actually understand and interact with the systems your business runs on. Built the first version of this, and I'm going to walk you through what it does, why it matters, and why I think this is the next major shift in how property management companies and service businesses in general build workflows. Let's get into it. Okay, so to understand this shift, you first have to really understand what MCP servers are versus CLIs versus APIs. So MCPs is short for Model Context Protocol. It was built by Anthropic. The concept is a network of servers that can connect to your AI tools and build real business systems. And so typically the way these MCP servers work is you have your AI platform. Let's take something like Claude or Cursor or Codex, ChatGPT, pick your poison. And then that platform is able to connect to a third party software, say your CRM, your project management tool, your property management platform, your case management platform, depending on the industry that you're in. And so the MCP server, it's a connection, and it's, you can kind of think of it like a plugin between that AI tool and that third party platform. And it's actually a wrapper around the APIs of that platform. So APIs, application programming interface, allow platforms or systems to draw from the code and the features that another platform has. So in the case of what we'll be talking about today, we're going to be dealing with the Buildium API, the property management platform, Buildium. And this API allows another platform that uses that API to do all sorts of different actions and draw from what that platform does. So whether that's creating a tenant in the property management platform, whether that's pulling in the leases from that property management platform, those are all different actions that the API allows you to take. And the MCP server, which is a wrapper around that API, by connecting that MCP to your AI tool, you're able to do those same actions all through one sort of application. Now, MCPs are different than what are called CLIs. Now, CLIs are, which is short for command line interface, is a way of interacting with your computer's terminal to take actions. And so these same actions that you might take with an MCP server, so examples could be find a tenant, create a maintenance ticket. You can do those same things in the CLI, but you're putting in commands to your computer's terminal rather than calling the specific APIs through the MCP. Now, the cool thing about all of this is that AI can manage all of it. So MCPs were built for AI to interact with these third-party software. CLIs, you can actually have your agent put these commands through. And so they actually operate in similar ways. You can use an MCP or you can use the CLI. The CLI tends to be a little bit quicker because it uses less context in the context window of the AI model. But the MCPs tend to be a little bit more sustainable for fully built out systems because you don't have to worry about having access to your computer's terminal when you are putting commands through. So that's MCP and CLIs. Now we're going to be talking about the property management platform Buildium and its API and how you can use these MCPs and CLI to do all sorts of different workflows and automations in a way that would have taken weeks and months to do in the past, even just a year ago, that now with these AI tools can actually do them in a fraction of the time by building out an MCP server for the platform, or a CLI tooling for the platform. And so I'm here in Buildium, and we have to take a look at a tool called Printing Press. A shout out to Printing Press and the founder of it. So Printing Press is an agent native CLI that allows you to build out your own CLIs and MCPs. And so you install this tool into whatever AI platform you're using through the terminal, and then it'll actually go and scour the API documentation for the platform that you have interest in, and then it'll actually go ahead and create a CLI and an MCP server for that platform. So it was inspired by Peter Steinberger, who was the founder of OpenClaw, the personal agent, and he had some trouble with the Google CLI and decided to create his own. And so this printing press platform allows you to create a CLI and also an MCP server too. It only talks about CLIs on this page for virtually anything. And they gave a bunch of different just like sample examples here. But something that's not really being talked about much is how you can do this with our service business platforms, right? Your CRMs, your project management systems. What we're going to do first is we are going to get the command in order to build this out. So I'm going to go up top to the GitHub repo for this. We're going to copy, and then we're going to go down. We're going to actually open up Cursor. So we're in Cursor here already. I've already created a sample project, and then we're going to go into the terminal, and then we're going to go in and we're going to say, help me install this printing press CLI. I'm going to paste in the repo, and then it's going to go ahead and install the printing press CLI. By the way, if you haven't used Cursor, or if you have used Cursor but haven't used it in a while, it's time to check it out again, because Cursor 2.5, the Composer 2.5, is a top model. It's on the level of Opus model 4.7 and GPT 5.5. It isn't just as good, but it's right in that range, and it's way faster than all of the top models. And so Cursor, they're actually now partnering with SpaceX, and it seems that SpaceX may actually end up acquiring them when that partnership is officially over. So they have access to so much compute power right now, and their limits are generous, it's fast, and Cursor seems to be in this for the long haul. So just to point that out there. But we're installing this CLI right now, and we'll take it to the next step, which will be then now installing an MCP and CLI server for Buildium, the Buildium API, which will now allow you to do different automations with the Buildium API that's connected to your account. All right, so we've got the CLI now installed, succeeded, and have the printing press CLI. There's actually a previous one I had on my computer because I had used it before. And so again, your AI can help manage and structure this process for you. So it's good to kind of read through the documentation, but rather than actually putting through these commands, what I'm actually going to do is have my agent do it, right? So what we're going to do next now is we're going to go to the Buildium API. So here's the documentation for Buildium, and I'm going to paste this into Cursor, and I'm going to say, let's go ahead and build out a CLI and an MCP for the property management platform Buildium using Printing Press. Here's the link to the Buildium API, Open API documentation. We're going to just paste that in. And while that's running, we're going to go to Buildium, and we're going to this sandbox account that I'm using. We're going to go to settings. Then we're going to go ahead and create a new API key. I'm going to put printing press example 2, since I had done it earlier. Continue. Here are the different permissions that you can give, from accounting to rentals, lease transactions, tenants, associations, maintenance, administration. You can give view access, edit access, and then also delete access. I'm going to give it all view and edit access, so you can programmatically change what's in Buildium and create different workflows based on the different access that you give it. We're going to continue. And then it gives you a client ID and secret. Again, this is a sandbox account. This isn't real information. And we're going to just take note of these right here. We're going to go back into Cursor and see what the status is. So it's now installing this Buildium CLI and MCP based on the Open API docs, Buildium's Open API docs. So the API docs in Buildium show all the different things that you can do with the Buildium API. So you have what I call different API endpoints, from being able to pull properties, being able to pull lease data, being able to update files and charge tenants, create new tenants and owners in the platform. And these are you're able to create workflows. Traditionally, you can use this API to create workflows, and you would use traditionally a tool, workflow automation tool like Zapier or Make.com or N8N. But now with these AI tools like Cursor, like Claude Code, like Codex, can make it even more programmatic, to where the agent can actually build out the workflows for you, and you don't have to piece every single module together. And so it shrinks down the amount of time it takes to put these different workflows together. So it says here, Buildium CLI and MCP were generated under these full files. It created a sub agent. The Buildium CLI and MCP generation sub agent has finished. So it created a sub agent in order to now build out the CLI and MCP. And in Cursor, you have an ability to multitask. So you can have multiple agents running at the same time, and it'll show you those agents that are running at the same time. So then our next step is we're going to take the secret client ID, and we're going to, typically you don't want to paste this into the chat. All right, so you want to put this within a command. For the sake of the video, I'm just going to paste it into the chat and tell it not to commit it anywhere to keep it secure. I'm going to say, here are the Buildium credentials for the API. I'm just going to paste that in. And this will help with now the authentication, because you can only access the API if you have the credentials to access it. All right, and it added it to git ignore. So if we commit this to GitHub, then it won't actually post the API key there. Security is very important. So now the API access is verified. And so we can say, okay, let's test out the MCP server for Buildium. Let's say, can you pull all of the leases in the Buildium account and list them out on an HTML visual? I'm going to say Claude style aesthetic. Run it on localhost 7002. So localhost is how you can visualize different websites or apps that you build on your computer, local to your computer. And HTML, they say HTML is the new Markdown, meaning that because of agents, you can very quickly spin up sites, and you can also use HTML to spin up visuals in general. So rather than using Markdown for descriptions, when you want to explain and convey things visually, you could just say, use HTML, spin up an HTML dashboard or an HTML, visual. So that's what we're doing here. And so we're having it pull the leases from Buildium, like it's actually connected now to Buildium. Right, if we go into the leasing area, right, and then again, this is sandbox information. It'll pull it in, and then you can now run it on localhost. So you can see here, we've got it spun up in Cursor, and here are all of the leases right here, 22 leases. What it would have taken to do this, to set this up, you would have had to create a whole workflow in somewhere like Make.com and put a bunch of different things together, a bunch of different modules, and then spin it up on a Google Sheet. And then if you wanted to visualize it in this kind of way, you would have had to create an avenue to do that. Now you can just use Cursor, put in a couple of commands, and voila, you have it here. And now if you wanted to take it and, let's say, build out a workflow for this, say taking that to the next step, let's say you wanted to have this on a spreadsheet, like you wanted to have this on a spreadsheet, what you could do is you can now connect the spreadsheet through, again, MCPs. So in Cursor, and each of these AI platforms have this, right? So we're talking Cursor right now, but Claude Code, Codex, they all have those MCP connections. So that's how you can now go about leveraging AI in order to pull in data from your software, in order to take action in your software. You have different what are called tools. So if I go back to this chat and I say, can you list out all of the MCP tools for Buildium, and list it out? These are all going to be just connections to the APIs, all the API endpoints, and all the different things that you can do with this MCP server. So you can pull in data, but then you can also take action. Right? So you can also update tenant files. You can also create new files, and then you can create workflows based off of this, where you can have it run periodically. You can create automations with it within here, and if you'd like, I could do future videos on how you would create automation that, again, you can actually have your agent handle to do. And so let it list out these MCP tools, and so it has 455 tools. So I'll put this in a .md file, and so you can see right here the Buildium MCP tools. These are all the different things that you can do with it, associations to your bank accounts, accounting, ledger, leases, charging leases, and pulling in leases. And these are all the different things that you can do with the APIs, the rentals. 455 tools. There's so much that you can do with this, and these workflows would take so long to build in kind of traditional workflow automation tools that now, because of this AI, it's a whole different story. And this is the future. This is where things are going, and the ability to be able to connect your software to your AI. That's now one of that's now imperative. Like that's now a deal breaker, right? Like you have to be able to connect your tools to the AI, because it's the difference between something taking a couple of hours, right, a couple of days, to a couple of weeks, a couple of months to get done. So that's what I have for you in this video. Just in learning more about how we used to do things, right? Then you can check out the video for that after this. Hope this was value, and I will see you guys next time.
Free audio post-production by Authonic.com.